What the hell is Saw Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
Guys are from Free Love, man.
What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to Saw Sports. We're going to get into the 5 takeaways today from the game, the first Monday Night Football game of the 2019 NFL season between the Houston Texans and the New Orleans Saints. Went down as a great game, an epic game. I think we got 5 takeaways, good and bad. We're going to work our way from the bad to the good. Always give the good news last. Make sure you go and follow Saw Sports on all the proper social medias. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am your host, Honcho. Let's stop wasting time. Let's go ahead and get into it right now. As we work our way to 5 to 1 from worst to best, make sure you stay tuned at the very end because there's always a bonus takeaway. I always try to give a little bit of something extra. But the 5th thing, as we work our way up, is Romeo Crennel is 72 years old, and I believe he's washed. I believe the game has passed this man by. He was great in his time, but I think he's past his prime. I think it's time to hang up the lanyard and the clipboard, the play sheet, whatever you want to call it. I just think that this isn't the same Romeo Crennel that we enjoyed when he first got here. We can talk about talent, we can talk about players, we can talk about a lot of different things. When he was here, he was great at stopping the pass. We can talk about the talent that we went up against. We can talk about the talent that we had on the team. But as of late, last year, he number 1 run defense, which was great, but he has been giving up passing yards like crazy. And if we want to talk about total yardage in this game, 518 total yards, about 340 through the air, I believe, or 370 through the air, something like that. And then, about 148, something like that on the ground. Just ridiculous numbers. And I might have got that backwards, but ridiculous numbers regardless. Over 500 yards of offense is terrible. And I just feel like, again, it may be past his time. I said this last year in the middle of the season that I thought it was over for Romeo Crennel. I didn't think that he would even come back as defensive coordinator. I believe the Texans made a mistake, and I think in game 1 against another elite or even a quality quarterback, we've seen what happens when a Romeo Crennel, the modern Romeo Crennel defenses go out and face good quarterbacks. It's not a good look for the Texans, and we usually end up on the short end of the stick. Let's go ahead and get to the next takeaway. And make sure you're sharing your comments in the comments below after each and every one of these takeaways. So I want to know how you feel, if you agree or disagree. Sauce Nation, Sauce Sports is all about you, the fresh ingredients and what you bring to the sauce. And it's all about the people. So I want to get to the 4th thing. And the 4th thing is one man does not change an offensive line. Love the addition of LAREMY and TUNSIL, but they still gave up 6 sacks. Now, I know Titus Howard was out. Y'all know my thoughts on Titus Howard, but he has to be better than Snail. Kelemete was getting manhandled. I mean, just pushed all over the place and was providing absolutely no protection. He was basically a traffic cone out there, and 6 sacks on Deshaun. It makes you question whether or not, trading that heavy package to Miami to get TUNSIL and steals was worth the deal. I'm not going to put it all on TUNSIL. Again, he's only been here a couple of days, but again, there's a lot of similarities between what Houston does and what Miami does, and you've said itself, a lot of it is terminology. You just got questions, man. You just got a lot of questions. And the guy from the Saints, I can't remember his name, made a great play on him, so he did give up a sack or 2. But I'm not going to fault all of that on him. That's going to be Devin's job to get him ready and get him acclimated to this team. But him alone, and again, have no worries in the future about TUNSIL. Him alone, he cannot make it. You still have 4 of the positions on that offensive line that need to be fixed. I think there are players that are better suited to start or better suited in different positions, but we know how Bill O'Brien operates, and he's going to do what his ego tells him to do. But can't complain about it, but we all hope and pray for the protection of Deshaun Watson. And right now with the lineup that they got out there, you're not seeing a whole lot of difference. I told a lot of people that early on that one guy's not going to change this line. 6 sacks is unacceptable. The New Orleans Saints are not, they don't have a lot of pass rush, and they're better defensive players, and they're better linemen were not even in the game. So that's very concerning when it comes to this Houston Texans offensive line. Let's go ahead and get to the next point. Now, the 3rd takeaway from tonight's game is something that I kind of felt like would happen, but I didn't think it would happen to the extent in which it did. And that's kind of like, what happened? And what I mean by that is J.J. Watt puts up a goose egg on the stat sheet. I think the Saints were able to render him virtually useless. He had one play where he was kind of chasing Breeze down, but I mean, there was still, 3 or 4 yards in between them. It really wasn't a threat, but that did, I guess, cause Breeze to make a bad decision on the fly and ended up throwing an interception to Merciless. Merciless stood out today, which was good, and it was good to see him back having a sack and an interception. But J.J. Watt, saw a lot of double teams, he did, but there were several times also that he went against that right tackle, and I keep forgetting his name, and I've looked it up 2 or 3 times, but he was also a Wisconsin Badger, Ryan something, and he was getting stonewalled one-on-one. The best play that JJ had all day was getting held. That was the most of a contribution he really gave to the Texans. I don't expect this to be a frequent thing. I'm not going to sit here and say JJ is completely washed up, but don't expect to see the same JJ. I think JJ has other things on his mind. I think he has his future, his marriage, and just moving on. I don't think moving on from the game, but I think he has other things on his mind. Don't put too much on JJ basically being the man that he once was. I think he'll still be good. I think he'll still be relevant. And over the course of a season, he'll tally up some big plays. But tonight, quality coaching. And when you see quality coaches, they find a way to take your best player out of the game. Tonight, the Saints were able to do that. And it rendered JJ virtually useless. But let's get on to the next point. The next few things are going to be a little bit better. Let's kind of up the mood a little bit because I don't think it's all bad. I think there were a lot of good takeaways from this game, but let's go ahead and get to the next thing right now. Now, getting into number 2. Now, this is something that I thought might cause a little bit of controversy because this player has been kneeling. Kenny Stills, what a steal. And the reason why I say that, a lot of people overlook Kenny Stills in the TUNSIL deal. They looked at the 2 first and the second mainly as for TUNSIL. Stills was just kind of like here, and wait, there's more. But Stills showed that he can be an active contributor, can be an active contributor to this offense. And game 1, in limited knowledge of the playbook, and again, he was used sparingly, but when he was on the field, they found ways to get the ball in his hands. I think he had one play that might have been for a loss, but he did make plays. He had a huge play at the end of the game. So it's a guy that I think Deshaun has instant rapport with, and speedy guys like that, Deshaun is able to find them when it matters most. So having him in addition to Will Fuller, with Kiki being unavailable, it's going to be big. And when Kiki does return again, if anything happens, knock on wood, barring any injury, this is going to be a very potent wide receiver core. But if something does happen, it's good to have some faith that you got a guy like Kenny Stills who can come in and pick up the slack, not only in the slot position, but just in case, maybe a number 2, if Will needs a rest or whatever it may be. So I think it's very, very intriguing what the Texans will end up using this guy for. I think he came and won a lot of fans over who may have had whatever feelings they may have had with how he approaches the anthem and all that. All that's irrelevant. But him making a big play in the first game of the year, and I mean the biggest play of the game almost until the very end, I think that won a lot of fans over. Definitely, got me paying attention because I wasn't really concerned with him being an addition to this team. Honestly, not that he's not a good receiver, but he showed that he can come in and instantly offer some assistance to this offense. So I'm loving it. But let's get into the number 1 takeaway from this game, and make sure you stay tuned because there will be a bonus takeaway after that. Because there's a couple of good things that we need to look at and appreciate from tonight's game. The number 1 most important takeaway from this game is something I don't think even Texas fans are surprised by, but yet this man does it again. Deshaun Watson is not only a warrior, but I believe he needs to be in that elite conversation. It's not him, it's the team that falls apart in crucial moments around him. We've seen him do it against Russell Wilson. We've seen him do it against Drew Brees. We've seen him do it against, Nick Foles when, again, he was coming off, the Super Bowl win. And now we see him tonight again. You see him again going against Drew Brees, and it's like the man has the heart of a champion, and somehow the ball ends up in the hands of the other team, and the defense just falls flat at the worst moment. It was ridiculous. The defense gave up 27 points after holding the Saints to 3 in the first half. And I don't know what more you could have asked from Deshaun this game. The guy scores the first touchdown, makes a hell of a play on that run. And then, just making amazing passes, finding guys standing strong in the pocket. And the fact that he played with a noticeable, and you could tell his back was noticeably bothering him. He still made big runs. Deshaun he needs to be in that upper echelon conversation of quarterbacks. If the pieces can be found to offer proper protection, if the pieces can get cohesive around him, Deshaun Watson, when he has time, you saw him having a little bit more time tonight than he has in years past, and he's able to stand and deliver. He's not looking to run. He's looking to deliver the ball. That's his strong suit. But a lot of people want to label me, he's a mobile guy, he's a runner. That's not what his job is. When everything breaks down, yes, he's going to take the ball and he's going to get yards. But Deshaun Watson should be in that conversation of elite company. I understand why a lot of people won't put him there because doesn't have the accolades, doesn't have the big wins. He produces big in big time games. He produces big in prime time games. It's the pieces that are around him that fall short. And no, usually not even on the offense. Even when you have questions about the offensive line, it's that defense that has failed him time and time again. It happened in Philly, it happened in Seattle, it happened with the Pats, and it happened again tonight with New Orleans. And it's very unfortunate because this guy has the heart of a champion. The guy is a winner, and eventually somebody's going to get it right for these Texans, or he's going to end up in the right system where the pieces are around him to protect him. Deshaun Watson, as long as he can stay healthy, will be a Super Bowl champion one day. I mean, it's in his DNA. But let's get to that bonus take, something I found extremely surprising, the most surprising thing from tonight's game, honestly, and that's why I saved it for a bonus. But let's get into that right now. So quickly, before we jump into that bonus take, make sure you're following Saul Sports on all the proper social medias listed below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. If you want all the other H-Town sports takes on all the other major teams and collegiate teams, make sure you go to saulsports.tv, or the link is in the description below. I just want to say shout out to Sauce Nation, shout out to everybody who's been watching, shout out to all the new fresh ingredients. And if you want to become a fresh ingredient, hit the subscribe button and become a part of the sauce. We'd love to know your takes, whether you agree or disagree. But let's go ahead and get into this bonus content. I'm your host, Ed Honcho. Y'all stay saucy, and I'll catch y'all next time. Enjoy this. Now, I'm not wishing injuries on anybody, but Lamar Miller went down early in the preseason, and you had recently acquired Duke Johnson. The Texans go out and get Carlos Hyde. This running back tandem had 19 rushes for 140 yards. Carlos Hyde had 10 rushes, averaging 8.3 yards a carry for 83 yards. And then you had Duke Johnson, who had 9 carries for 57 yards, averaging 6.3 yards a carry. That is commendable by both guys. We saw a little something different from these guys. They have a little bit of a different running style than Lamar Miller. You saw these guys open up, get through some holes, and you saw these guys make runs that you don't normally see from Lamar. You saw these guys breaking tackles. You saw these guys running hard. We may have something. I'm not going to go all in just yet, but this may be a blessing in disguise. We may have a solid running back by committee type situation, carries by committee. It'll be very interesting to see these two guys going forward. I wasn't super sold on the acquisition. You know, a lot of people question, is Duke the guy? And Hyde might mess around and actually be the man. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, RB1, RB2 in the near future. But both these guys working in tandem. They were successful tonight. We didn't ultimately get the W, but it was a successful game by those two. You have to appreciate it. And then Watson throwing in 40 yards of his own, 180 yards total rushing for the Texans. But with that being said, y'all stay saucy. I'm out. Perfect.